Okay, and this next part is part of my favorite part of any harm reduction conference, because I think here we get to appreciate ourselves and our colleagues, and I think it's really important in the work that we do to take some time and recognize some of the, and celebrate the excellence and innovation and the unwavering dedication that shapes the very fabric of human dignity, drug use, health, and human rights. And so every year that we do this conference, no? ¿Está bien? Well, just when people are down there, I kind of look at. Every year when we do this conference, the conference stands as a guiding light. It illuminates the extraordinary contributions of groups and individuals who dare to reimagine solutions, challenge injustices, and champion progress. It's with great pride that we present a series of awards recognizing those whose tireless efforts have not only advanced their fields, but have also transformed the lives and communities worldwide. The honorees tonight remind us that progress is born from collaboration, courage, and compassion. So let us take a little bit of time here as we go through this to honor their achievements, amplify their impact, and reaffirm our shared commitment to a healthier, more equitable future for all. So without further ado, let us begin with the celebration here. The first award that we have is the GILL Bradbury Award for Excellence in Service Provision. This was first presented in 2023 and honors individuals, groups, or organizations delivering outstanding services to people who use drugs. The award is named after Gil Bradbury, our unforgettable conference medical coordinator who passed away in 2020. Gil was a force of nature, brilliant, caring, in the heart of our conference community. This year, I feel like the Academy Awards when I do this, but I don't want the music at the end, you know, that comes on when people speak too long. This year, the award goes to Sue Purchase from Harm Reduction Sisters. Yeah? Give it up. Sue embodies GIL's spirit and determination, working tirelessly to provide low-barrier access to harm reduction supplies like clean needles, naloxone, and opioid agonist therapy. Sue's journey began in 1996 during the AIDS crisis when she witnessed the desperate need for clean syringes and health services. And at that point, she founded Women with a Point in Minneapolis, Minnesota, USA, starting with syringe distribution from her car and growing into one of America's first fixed-site syringe exchanges. Her program offered HIV testing, mental health care, and safe spaces for women and youth, breaking down barriers that endangered lives. Today, Sue's work spans 7 Native communities whose overdose deaths are disproportionately high. She has built deep trust across cultural divides, which in the United States, you know, is really difficult, and advocates fiercely for pregnant women and others in crisis. Harm Reduction Sisters now inspire global narco-feminist harm reduction movements, proving that true equity begins with meeting people where they are. Sue is a mentor, leader, and catalyst for change. Her impact is immense, reflecting the World Health Organization's vision of health as a complete physical, mental, and social being, not just the absence of disease. Sue Purchase is a living testament to the power of harm reduction and richly deserving of the Gil Bradbury Award. Sue.
Buenas noches. It is a profound honor to accept the Gil Bradbury Award for Excellence in Service Provision on behalf of Harm Reduction Sisters. I have to say that this recognition carries deep meaning for me and for all of us at Harm Reduction Sisters, especially in the current political climate where harm reduction principles are being challenged and devalued despite the progress that we've made. Our work in harm reduction is rooted in narco-feminism, a framework that recognizes the gendered dimensions of drug policy and the lived realities of women and gender-diverse people who use drugs. We advocate not only for services, but for structural change. Narco-feminism challenges the systemic injustices that criminalize, marginalize, endanger people based on both substance use and gender. It calls for visibility, autonomy, and leadership from those most affected, now more than ever. This award affirms our work, and our voices are being seen and heard. It is a powerful reminder that feminist harm reduction is not only necessary, but it's transformative. To the judging panel, thank you for this recognition. I accept it on behalf of all those pushing for a more just and compassionate and equitable world, especially in times that vision feels furthest from reach. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. We're really honored that you to present you with this. This next award is kind of really special for me, the Carol and Travis Jenkins Award, because Carol Jenkins was one of my best friends, and I was kind of with her when we started to think this award up back in 2003. I mean, Fabio was there, so Sakar, other people that I can't remember. This award is presented every year since 2005 to a person who either used to or currently uses drugs and who has made an outstanding contribution to reducing drug-related harm. It was initially named after Travis, who was a great jazz musician and a composer, and he died of cancer in 2004. In 2009, the award was renamed to include Carol, Travis's wife, Carol, who, again, was a mentor to me and a friend and a colleague to many here. She started out in medical research in Papua New Guinea. She was a medical anthropologist. She was one of the leading instigators in setting up the National AIDS Council there. And she was a leading expert in HIV and AIDS. And it was important to her to always respect indigenous communities. The Harai people of Papua New Guinea were her second family. But I think Carol's insight, I think, back then in creating this award was to honor people who actually use drugs, who are in the community or used to use drugs, and realize that they make a special contribution to reducing, to the harm reduction movement. So this year, the award goes to, I feel like, again, Judy Chang. Yeah. Okay, Judy, I gotta say nice things about you. Judy's not just a leader, if you know her. She's a force of nature who's redefined what it means to talk about the fight for justice. As a woman who uses drugs for over 2 decades of lived experience, she's transformed Input, and trust me, I know I've known Input for a long time, the international peer-led organization that she led for nearly 8 years, into a global beacon for peer-led movements, proving that true change begins when communities take the helm. She's a driver for change and improving policies that affect her community on a global level. She's worked hard to bring the worlds of community and donors together, strengthening community-led movements, inspiring women activists across the world, and bringing structure, stability, and unity to the field of harm reduction. I think what sets Judy apart is her unshakable courage. She confronts harmful myths head-on, weaponizing expertise to shake up and dismantle systems that criminalize compassion and care. Whether advising organizations on governance or defending people who use drugs, rights at the global stage, she reminds us that leadership isn't about power. It's about lifting others up as you climb. To stand in Judy's presence is to witness what happens when lived experience meets unrelenting advocacy. She hasn't just shaped policies, she's rewritten the narrative. And the fiercest revolutions are led by those who refuse to be silenced. A louder voice, I don't know. Judy doesn't merely inspire, she ignites movements that'll outlive us all. And I'm so honored to present Judy Chang with this award.
Thank you so much, everyone, especially to Harm Reduction International. It really is an immense honor to be receiving the Carol and Travis Jenkins Award. It was honestly very unexpected, and I really wanted to thank the amazing Angela McBride from Sampwood for her very quiet nomination, and of course to the judging panel as well. So it also made me reflect a lot about how I started on this path, and like Sean Shelley, the Executive Director of Harm Reduction International, it was exactly a decade ago in 2015 that I attended my first International Harm Reduction Conference in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. As we all know, 10 years really does pass by in the blink of an eye, but it also feels to me like a lifetime ago because of all that I've learnt and been gifted with, being part of the global drug user movement. It was in Kuala Lumpur that I vividly remember watching Abdur Rahim Rajay from Afghanistan receive the Carol and Travis Jenkins Award, and really I remember being in awe of everything he was doing and the courage he demonstrated in the face of scarcity, violence, repression, and extreme adversity. I had the privilege of working alongside Rahim for a few days in Kabul with Matt Southwell, carrying out peer focus groups with women who use drugs in Afghanistan, which looking back, really, I think, started me on this path. And I really want to thank Matt Southwell as well for taking a chance on me way back when. I would honestly never have imagined that 10 years later I'd be standing on this podium receiving the same award. I also owe a big shout out to the international network of people who use drugs and the broader community of people who use drugs. And, just to share, the reason that I was so drawn to contributing what I could to the community is because of the people. People who possess the courage to take risks, to save lives and restore dignity. And we know that this happens in a context where you can be punished and ostracized for doing so. Under criminalization, risk is not merely theoretical. The trailblazers who were on the streets distributing needles and syringes in naloxone, speaking truth to power at the table, running pop-up drug consumption rooms, operating drug check-in services, and distributing safer supply were and are people who use drugs and their allies, putting themselves in harm's way to mitigate harm, if even for a moment, in others' lives. Time and again, I saw people who use drugs put aside their personal struggles, operating themselves with little material resources, but giving to others with intent, with generosity, with compassion, with action. Nowhere is this more stark than in times of crisis, as we've seen the Eurasian network of people who use drugs, Volner and Bona, do in Ukraine. As many have said, we are living in very dangerous and troubling times, and it may only get worse with rollbacks in rights, democracy and resourcing, the rise in repression and persecution of those deemed other, before it gets better. I think more than ever, there is much to learn from the drug using community. The demonstration of courage in the face of adversity, the risk-taking, the ability to innovate, see and do things differently, and keep people on their toes. It's the only way to fight and resist at a time when chaos and inflicting damage has become official strategy. So I'm not only thankful for the community that came before me, but the community in the now and the future. And just to name a few, Anton Basenko, Angela McBride, Ahmed Saeed, Ernesto Cortez, Lynn Jeffries, Rita Gatonye, Annie Madden, Aditya Taslim, Louise Vincent, Julianne Quintero, Veronica Russo, and many more. This award will always be a reminder of everything I've gained from the drug using community and carried with me, even though now I've moved onto Open Society Foundations. Whilst the future is uncertain and the reactionary right gained ground by accusing those dedicated to social justice as being out of touch and disconnected from realities, the best way for us to pivot as a reform movement is to hold people whose lives are directly impacted by oppressive drug policies and practices as our compass. So just as a final note, I wanted to thank the leadership of Colombia at this year's C&D, Commission on Narcotic Drugs, for we now have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to finally change the international drug control regime that we all know has caused so much harm and devastation. So just as a message, while I have this opportunity, we really need everyone to do their part in stepping up and supporting a panel and process that can actually lay the ground for a drug policy future we have all been envisaging and working for so long. Thank you so much again for this award. It means the world to me.
Hello. Good afternoon. I am Marcela Tovar. I am Colombian, and I am the conference liaison for HRI, and that's why I'm going to present the National ROLLESTON Award. I'm very honored. The National ROLLESTON Award honors an individual, group, or organization that has made an outstanding contribution to harm reduction in the conference host country, in this case, Colombia. Named after Sir Humphrey Rolleston, who in 1926 led a landmark committee recognizing heroin and morphine prescription as legitimate medical treatment, this award symbolizes a human and pragmatic approach to drug policy. And this year, and I'm sorry I get super emotional with this award goes to the person that has been behind scenes in Colombia's drug policy change. Inés Elvira Mejía, Motta. Inés is a pioneering Colombian psychologist, researcher, and consultant with over 30 years of experience in public policy, harm reduction, and treatment related to drug use, HIV, and hepatitis. She is the mother of harm reduction in Colombia. Since 1993, Inés has been a key figure in shifting Colombia's drug policies away from prohibition towards approaches centered on human rights, social inclusion, and community engagement. She has strengthened healthcare, access for people who use drugs, and promoted comprehensive and compassionate analysis of Colombian social injustices. Inés has worked with major international organizations such as WHO, PAHO, UNODC, etc., OSF, among others, and advised the Colombian Ministry of Health and Justice on policies addressing substance use and social inclusion. As a member of Colombia's Drug Policy Advisory Commission, she has, and still does, contributed to progressive policy reforms and led important research on heroin and injecting drug use. In 2016, she participated in the United Nations General Assembly review of global drug policies, helping to align them with current challenges. She continues to advise Colombian municipalities and Colombian government. Currently, she serves also as an independent consultant for COPOLAD and OSF, focusing on inclusive mothers and addressing drug use and vulnerabilities. Inés Elvira Mejía, passion, dedication, and leadership embody the spirit of National ROLLESTON Award and represent a vital force for humane, evidence-based harm reduction in Colombia and beyond.
wow, qué decir después de eso. Gracias. Bueno, estoy muy nerviosa, así es que disculpen. La reducción de daños es resistencia ante la censura y el control que sociedades y estados pretenden ejercer sobre cuerpos y conciencias libres. Esta convicción me condujo por este camino fascinante. La Conferencia Internacional en Sao Paulo, la primera en Latinoamérica en 1998, marcó el inicio de esta trayectoria. Hoy, 27 años después, es un honor recibir este premio en mi ciudad, viviendo un legado que está más vivo que nunca. He tenido la fortuna de ser escuchada y agradezco a quienes me postularon por poner en valor un trabajo que, como los cimientos de las casas, es fundamental, aunque poco visible. Quienes me conocen saben que no hablo de mí y debo ser breve. La mía ha sido una acción conectora y catalizadora de procesos, actuando como puente entre Estado, instituciones, sociedad civil y cooperación. La acción de abrir trocha, como decimos en Colombia, de diseñar políticas públicas con carácter social que han puesto un lente particular a nuestra forma de concebir y hacer reducción de daños en Colombia, de preparar grants ganadoras con cuyos recursos se ha fortalecido la respuesta nacional al VIH y a otras ITS en los últimos 15 años, de liderar estudios y creación de evidencia robusta para informar, justificar la acción y preparar la llegada y sostén de la cooperación internacional, de escribir guías y lineamientos, de promover alianzas e intercambios, de introducir la innovación social y la lógica de los laboratorios, de formar y entrenar de manera natural, intuitiva y tranquila a mucha gente en la esencia de la reducción de daños en el país. Este premio invita a no olvidar que detrás de las cosechas hay siembras que se han hecho por años. Quiero dar las gracias a la organización, por supuesto, Harm Reduction International, a mi mamá, a Alexis, mi compañero, a Susana, amiga y hermana, que no veo, no sé dónde está, por ahí está, a Jenny, Sara, Aura, Marce, a organizaciones aliadas, Viviendo, Surgir, Consentidos, ATS, Teméride, De Justicia, Elementa, a otras a las que deseo un brillante futuro como Sapiencia, Conciencia Viva y Casa B, aliadas en los territorios que han actuado como guardianas, Luza, no sé si estás por ahí, Vivi, Sandra, Nora, William, Grecia, al CES por la rigurosidad y la constancia en los estudios, a Ricardo Luque, a Berta de la OPS, a María Mercedes de UNODC por creer, a Caritas Alemana, al Fondo Mundial, a Open Society Foundations por la confianza en este país, a pares extraordinarios como Marcela, Lorena, María Isabel, Julián Patiño, las admiro y las quiero. ¿Por dónde están? ¿Dónde están? Deben estar por ahí. Hay muchas y muchas más. Gracias por escuchar y por el coraje. Vivimos tiempos que muestran la fragilidad de las conquistas en materia de derechos humanos, igualdad y respeto. Llegan al poder gentes que pretenden borrar de un plumazo décadas de conquistas y reivindicaciones. En sí mismo. Es un punto de partida y un punto de llegada de todos los derechos humanos. En lo genuino, en lo vivo, en el vínculo y en la conexión está la esencia de este maravilloso mundo. Hay un en nuestro trabajo, aquí, como dijo Julián hace poco, Inés Elvira siendo Inés Elvira, ¿sí? Seguiré siendo guardiana de la esencia de lo que hemos construido por décadas en este país. Sigamos cultivando este oasis de ternura y de justicia. Sigamos cuidando este ethos. Sigamos en resistencia. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Inés. Our final award this evening is the International ROLLESTON Award. This award was first presented at the Third International Conference on Reduction of Drug-Related Harm in Melbourne in 1992 and is given to an individual, group, or organization that's made an outstanding contribution to harm reduction at an international level. Thanks. This year's award goes to Liz Evans and Mark Townsend, the founder and former director, of PHS Community Services Society Insight. The award is a recognition to Liz and to Mark's groundbreaking contributions to harm reduction, housing first policies, and the global response to drug use and mental health challenges. Through visionary leadership, innovative strategies, and unrelenting advocacy, their hard work has saved countless lives and reshaped public health systems worldwide. Liz is a Canadian nurse with over 30 years of experience, and her husband, Mark, began their harm reduction journey in 1993 with the founding of the Portland Hotel Society, PHS, in Vancouver's downtown east side. And that, if you know your history, is like kind of where a lot of this also co-located started. At the heart of their work was a bold, compassionate approach, creating housing first programs that prioritize stable shelter for individuals without preconditions such as abstinence from drug use or prior mental health stabilization. This innovative model not only challenged stigmatizing practices, but also laid the foundation for what is now internationally recognized as a best practice in housing policy. The transformative impact of their work extended far beyond housing. In 2003, Mark and Liz co-founded Insight, America's first legally sanctioned, supervised injection facility, opened in collaboration with the Vancouver Coastal Health and Vancouver area network of drug users. Insight became a beacon of harm reduction amidst a devastating overdose crisis. The facility not only provided a safe space for people who use drugs to inject under medical supervision, but also connected individuals to vital health and social services, saving countless lives and reducing public health costs. The opening of Insight was a result of tireless advocacy and strategic legal efforts, including securing an unprecedented exemption from Canada's Controlled Drugs and Substances Act. However, the battle didn't stop there. When a hostile federal government, because you know that federal governments can become hostile every few years, threatened to shut down Insight, Evans and Townsend spearheaded a landmark constitutional challenge. In 2011, the Supreme Court of Canada ruled unanimously that denying Insight's exemption would be unconstitutional, cementing its place in a life-saving public health service and setting a global precedent for harm reduction practices. Beyond Insight, Liz and Mark's leadership pioneered practices that have become cornerstones for harm reduction globally, including the integration of overdose prevention sites in housing projects and employing people who use drugs in service delivery. Their legacy continues through policies and programs that champion dignity, agency, and evidence-based care for marginalized populations. After leaving the Portland Hotel Society in 2014, Liz brought her expertise back to the United States where it was greatly needed. Where she's led initiatives to expand overdose prevention services, pioneering a drug users health hub, and advanced harm reduction practices in her current role as Senior Director of Harm Reduction at Liberation Programs in Connecticut, United States. Meanwhile, Mark Townsend's dedication to harm reduction remains evidenced through his ongoing advocacy and team building efforts. Together, Liz Evans and Mark Townsend exemplify the transformative power of harm reduction. Their work has inspired countless individuals and organizations to adapt compassionate, effective approaches to some of society's most pressing challenges. Their unparalleled contributions to saving lives, advancing social justice, and inspiring a global movement, I wholeheartedly award them because they've changed the world and changed how some of us work in it somehow. Thank you, and Liz? Because I know Mark's not here, so Liz is going to have to do double duty.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, thank you so much. It's really a huge honor. Also nervous. Firstly, I want to say thank you on behalf of Mark, who isn't able to be here today. However, I'm super happy to have my daughter, Asa, here, who is just recently started working in the harm reduction movement in the US. She's going to say a couple of words on Mark's behalf. This is really an incredibly tremendous honor. You know, Mark and I are really incredibly grateful to be part of an international harm reduction community and to know and have been inspired by so many brilliant, innovative, compassionate, and tireless advocates. We also feel incredibly fortunate to have met many of you over the last 35 years and that we're honored to call many of you our friends. I also want to acknowledge my new and lovely Connecticut family, some of whom I'm really excited to say managed to come here all the way to Bogota just to learn from this community and this movement. But obviously this award isn't just for Mark and I. This award is for every teacher that we've ever had, every person that we've been honored to stand beside, every soul who has lived and died in the shadow of systems that were never built with their dignity or their humanity in mind. My journey in this work didn't begin in a classroom or as a drug user, but as a child who knew what it felt like to experience abandonment, psychological abuse, and who carried a quiet ache of invisibility. This pain became my point of connection to others who, like me, didn't fit, both full of shame and brilliance, grief and generosity, self-hatred, and the fierce, aching hope that maybe, just maybe, they were still worth loving. People who use drugs who are so often vilified, not for who they are, but because the world refuses to see who they really are. Wherever I've worked in Vancouver, the US, and internationally, it's this hatred that's followed. The names change, the contexts shift, but the blame and the cruelty are the constants. And yet people show incredible resilience, people who are funny, tender, and whole. People who live with unimaginable courage every day. We have learned from communities who taught us what survival really looks like, people who refused to be defined by their drug use even when the world tried to erase them. I met Mark in the summer in England when I was young, in my early 20s, and for the first time I felt seen. Our love has survived through many challenges. We've fought, struggled, built, and lost. Together we built the PHS, an organization that reshaped the way housing, services, and supports were brought to people who, before this work began, were not seen as worthy. Mark and I, alongside an incredible group of committed individuals, fought to open and keep open insight. We stood with a community that became our family. We survived loss and we started again. I learned that giving everything doesn't mean you'll be seen. That devotion without self-love can make you disappear. And that survival sometimes means starting over with nothing. But Mark always saw me, and just as we saw the brilliance in people who were often told they were worthless, our relationship, just like this movement, has been tender, complicated, and tested. And through that, I have found space to simply exist, not as someone saving others, but as somebody who is finally whole. We've lost so many people to overdose, to HIV, to violence, to despair, but they are not invisible. Their names live in my heart and all of our hearts. Their lives guide our work, and I owe them everything. Those of you in this room, you know this fight. You carry grief. You carry love. And if you're tired, please know that power is not something that's ever given. It's something that you take back. And the end of one chapter, no matter how painful, is never the end of who you are. We all just keep on going. We keep on loving, and we keep on fighting. So thank you.
My dad would have loved to have been here today, standing with all of you who've dedicated your lives to the struggle. I'm just going to read a few brief words that he sent me, and you're gonna have to imagine that I have crazy big white hair. Oh, okay, sorry. Each of you beautiful souls in front of my daughter today deserve recognition for your tireless efforts, commitment, and love. The work you all do is about making real change. I just want to share a quote by William Blake that I always used to keep on my desk. He wrote, "To create a little flower is the labor of ages." Each of our collective efforts contribute to a greater purpose. Thank you all for this incredible honor. I love and respect you. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, I think we need to give a big round of applause for all our awardees right now. Again, one more time. We are so honored and appreciative that we could present these awards to you. And we really so appreciate that you're part of our families and our communities. And the movement wouldn't be where it is without your contributions. Thank you so much. And with that, it concludes the opening plenary here. I want to thank you very much for your attention. And please join us next door for the opening reception.